Alright guys, let's go over this unit circle one more time. We went over it the other day. So, this very first one was 0. And then remember, every time we added 30 when we went around, okay? Every single time we added 30. So here we go. 0 plus 30 is 30. Every time you skip this middle one, okay? Skip it for right now. 30 plus 30 is 60. 60 plus 30 is 90. 90 plus 30 is 120. Skip the middle one. 120 plus 30 is 150. 150 plus 30 is 180. 180 plus 30, 210. Skip the middle one. 210 plus 30 is 240. 240 plus 30 is 270. 270 plus 30 is 300. Skip the middle one every single time. 300 plus 30 is 330. And then the very last one, 330 plus 30 is 360. Okay, then on Friday we learned how to do these coordinates. Okay, so remember the trick was 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then they were all over 2. 1, 2, 3. The reason that this 1 doesn't get a square root is because the square root of 1 is 1. Alright, so that's just a 1 right there. Alright, so we did 1, 2, 3, and then we go backwards. 1, 2, 3, and those are all over 2 as well. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay? Alright, then we match them up. This point lines up with this point right here. So it's the same coordinates. So it's 1/2 and square root of 3 over 2. Alright, but this is, so we talked about, let's go back over quadrants, okay? This is the first quadrant. This is the second quadrant, third quadrant, and fourth quadrant. Okay, that's from middle school, from a long time ago. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, in the first quadrant, you're going right, which is positive, and then you're going up, which is positive. In the second quadrant, you're going left, which is negative, and then you go up, which is positive. Okay, so that means every single one of these points, the first sign is going to be negative, the second sign is going to be positive. Alright, then you match this middle one up with this middle one. So it's square root of 2 over 2. But in the second quadrant, the first one is negative. Alright, then you match the third one up. But the first one is negative in the second quadrant. Alright, the third quadrant, so start at the origin. You've got to go left, which is negative, and down, which is negative. So it's 2 negatives. Alright, so if you see all these lines, we're going to match them up, okay? So this line, if you follow it up, it's this point right here. And let's match that up, but they're both negative. Alright, this middle one, follow it up. Right there. The middle one is always square root of 2 over 2. But in the third quadrant, they're both negative. And in this last one down here, follow that line up. It's the 1/2 and square root of 3 over 2. But in the third quadrant, they're both negative. Alright, same thing over here. This is the fourth quadrant. Okay, so let's do signs. Start at the origin. You go right, which is positive, and down, which is negative. So it's positive and negative. Alright, so let's follow this up. It's that one right there. Alright, so in this quadrant, the first one is positive, and the second one is negative. Alright, same thing. This is the middle one, which is always square root of 2 over 2, but if you need to, you can follow it up. And in this quadrant, the first one is positive, and the second one is negative. And then the last one, follow him up. It's this one. And the first one is positive, second one is negative. All right, remember that your reference angles were these very special ones right here, okay? Those were the special ones, okay? The 0, 90, 180, 270, and 360. Those are the special ones. So let's do their coordinates, okay? So if I go right, is that my x coordinate or my y coordinate? And if you go right, that's your x coordinate. And we went right 1, which means your y coordinate is 0. All right, so if you go up, that means that your y coordinate is 1 if you go up. Because remember, up and down was y, and left and right is x. So that means your x is 0. All right, if I go left, that's going to be my x value. But if I go left, that's negative. So it's a negative 1 is your x. All right, and then if you go down, down is your y. But if you go down, it's negative 1. And then 0 is your x. Okay, that's all that we learned on Friday. Okay, that's all that we learned on Friday. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to learn something new. Very, very slowly. You're going to have to know how to simplify fractions. I'm going to zoom this in a little bit. And we're going to learn what this stuff means later on this week, okay? But for right now, let's just get this. Okay, so this is a degree. And you also are going to learn next week something called a radian. A radian just simply means that it has a pi in the answer. Remember, pi was the same as 3.14 from way back when. If you don't remember that, just write it on your paper. It's not a big deal. We're learning it now. Okay, so here's what you need to know. This is there's only 3 things that you need to memorize. Oh, you know what? We never went and added the 45 all the way around. Hold on a minute. Let me go back and do that. Let's do that first. Sorry, guys. All right, so let's add the 45 all the way around. So 0 plus 45 is 45. 45 plus 45 is 90. 90 plus 45 is 135. 135 plus 45 is 180. 180 plus 45 is 225. 225 plus 45 is 270. 270 plus 45 is 315. And just for giggles, to make sure you get it right, 315 plus 45 is 360. All right, now we can do this new stuff. All right, so here's what you need to know. We're going to do one quadrant at a time. All right, here we go. So same thing applies. We're going to do every one, and we're going to skip the middle one every single time, just like we did before. So you need to know that 30 degrees is pi over 6. And again, I'm going to teach you how to get this later. But this is one of the very first things that you just need to memorize is this pi over 6. All right, so there's an understood 1 that's right here, okay? So when we do these, you're going to have to write kind of small until you can reduce this stuff by yourself, okay? So skip the middle one. All right, so this one is 1 over 6. So this one is 2 pi over 6. But 2 over 6 reduces, if you divide both of those by 2, that reduces to pi over 3, okay? So let's do that again. Here we go. So this is 1 over 6. Skip this one. This is 2 over 6. This one would be 3 over 6. Okay, 3 over 6 reduces by 3. So that would be pi over 2. Okay, so let's do that again. Here we go. 1 over 6. Skip the middle one. 2 over 6 reduces. 3 over 6 reduces. So let's go over here to the other one. So this is 3. What comes after 3 is 4 over 6. All right, 4 and 6 reduced by 2. So 4 divided by 2 would be 2 pi. 6 divided by 2 would be 3. All right, we're going to skip the middle one every time. So if this was 4, what comes after 4 is 5 pi over 6. That does not reduce. All right, what comes after 5 is 6. So this is 6 pi over 6. But if 6 divided by 6, and that gives you 1 pi, or just pi. All right, what comes after 6 is 7. So this is 7 pi over 6, which does not reduce. Skip the middle one. So if this is 7, this is 8 over 6. All right, 8 and 6 reduced by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 6 divided by 2 is 3. All right, so if this is 7, this is 8, so this is 9 over 6. Those reduce by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Okay, so this was 7, this was 8, this was 9, so this next one is 10. So it's 10 pi over 6. Every time it's over 6 when we do this one, okay? All right, those reduce by 2. So 10 divided by 2 is 5 pi. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Skip the middle one. After 10 is 11 pi over 6. That does not reduce. And so this is 10, this is 11, so this would be 12 pi over 6, which is simply 2 pi. All right, so there's very few things that you have to memorize. The only thing you need to memorize is skip the middle one every time. You're going to add 30 around each time. Then you're going to add 45 around each time. And then you need to remember 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then you need to know pi over 6. And the last thing you need to know is this one is pi over 4, which to me this one's easy because it's 45 and pi over 4. They both have 4s in them. So that's easy for me to remember. All right, same thing. This is 1 over 4. There's an understood 1 right here. Okay, I highlighted these on purpose because we're going to hit these every time, okay? So this is 1 over 4. So after 1 would be 2 over 4. So don't write this, but let me just show you. 2 pi over 4, that still reduces. So those divided by 2. And that still gives you pi over 2, okay? But you have to hit it each time. That way you make sure these other ones are correct. All right, so let's go over that again. This is 1 over 4. This is 2 over 4, which still reduces. So that means that this empty one right here would be 3 over 4. All right, hit your reference angle. After 3 is 4 over 4. So don't write this, but just watch this. 4 over 4 is still just pi, okay? But you have to hit it. That way you know the next one after 4 is 5 over 4. All right, and then after 5, okay, so don't write this, just watch. After 5, this would be 6 over 4, and that still reduces by 2 to give you 3 over 2, okay? So it still gives you the same answer. All right, so this was 5, this is 6, so you had to hit that one, so that way you labeled this correctly as 7 over 4. So the middle ones are always over 4, okay? All right, and then don't write this, just watch. After 7 is 8. This is 8 over 4, which is still 2 pi, okay? So you have to hit those reference angles each time to make sure you label these middle ones correctly. All right, and so guys, that's it. That's your unit circle. So I cannot change this test at all. This is your test right here. But the thing is, if you try to memorize this instead of working it out the way we just did, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to memorize all these, okay? We're gonna do this every single day, okay? Every single day we're gonna do these problems. So you don't have to worry. Every single day. We're gonna do the same exact thing. I'm gonna give you a blank one, and we're gonna do the same thing.